All right, we are live. Hey, how is it going? Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Live Q&A for Friday, April 4th. Welcome to the chat, welcome to the Q&A, and as you're popping onto our live stream here today, please feel free to introduce yourself. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and of course let me know if this is coming through loud and clear, because I just want to make sure that everything is working fine on my end and that you can hear me coming through loud and clear on your end. Awesome. So just getting some stuff organized here, and just let you know, we are streaming from the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel as well as the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. So I do a double stream, if you will. So regardless of where you're tuning in from, if you're tuning in from YouTube or you're tuning in from Facebook, you'll be able to participate on our video chat today. So I see some of the regulars popping on. Great to see that. We've got Lee joining in. Lee's a regular to these chats. He tunes in pretty much every single week. So again, thanks for the support. Much appreciated. And thank you for letting me know that it is coming through loud and clear. Got Robert joining in again. Robert is a regular to our video chats as well. Says, good rainy afternoon. Well, it is rainy for you. It's snowing for me. We're not out of winter yet here in Newfoundland, Canada. We are in the middle of snow right now. But you know what? I've seen on the news that some places throughout central United States have gotten a lot of flooding. There was I think it was tornadoes and flooding and that going through. So I'm flicking through the Weather Channel there, and it popped up. So I seen some crazy devastation there. And if anybody's been affected by that, my thoughts and prayers go out to you for sure, because that is devastating. You can't argue with Mother Nature. When she comes through, she can be pleasant or she can be mean, and sometimes she's mean. So if anybody's affected by that, I feel for you. Who else we have joining in? Darren is joining in. Hey, welcome to our chat. I'm not sure if you're a regular to the chat. Can't recall having a Darren as a regular. Like a lot of these names I know are regulars to our video chats. I see them every week. But if this is your first time here, let me know, right? Let me know if this is your first time joining into a live Q&A. And you'll get special treatment. You get top priority for your Q&A, for your questions if you're a new visitor and a new viewer on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat. We got Barry joining in from Georgia. Welcome. We've got Keith joining in as well. Welcome, Keith. Awesome. All right. We have the Buff Canuck joining in with a hello. Glad to have you joining in, a regular to our video chats. All right, so for those of you who are tuning in, and of course, for those of you who are regulars, you know the rigmarole, you know how this works, but I want to welcome everyone who's brand new and explain how the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat works. So I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour, answering questions and topics of discussion that you may have related to fitness and nutrition, health and wellness, any specific challenges you may be dealing with when it comes to exercise, you're building muscle, losing fat, diet, supplements, anything along those lines. Feel free to type your questions and topics of discussion into our chat window, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out over the course of our video chat today. And for those of you who are not familiar with me, because I know we have, there's a lot of regulars, of course, but for those of you who are new, I'm Lee Hayward, and I've been doing this for quite a while. I'm one of the OGs to the online fitness scene, and I actually started my first bodybuilding website back in 1997. Back when the internet was just getting started as we know it. And I started my very first bodybuilding website because I was an up-and-coming bodybuilder back then and was passionate about it. And I was actually doing a computer science course in college. And for our term project, we had to create a website. In our website development course, we had to create a website as our term project. So what did I do? I created a bodybuilding website, and I called it Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding, and I put it on the internet back in 1997. And as they say, the rest is history, because it just kept going from there. And, throughout my journey, I shared what I was learning as I was competing in bodybuilding, and I was coaching other people through that website. A lot of people were reaching out to me. Did a lot of coaching in the gym one-on-one for years. I mean, I started working in a fitness center back in the early 2000s as a strength and conditioning coach. I worked at the YMCA. I worked at some local gyms, and I still do strength and conditioning coaching at our local gym here now today. I still do in-person coaching. But my main thing that I like to focus on is online. So obviously with YouTube and a lot of videos, but I also do a lot of online coaching and consulting as well. So if you have any questions or anything you want to discuss related to health, fitness, and wellness, feel free to type them into our chat window today, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out. And if I can't help you out, maybe you have a specific question or issue or challenge that's beyond my area of expertise, then I'll let you know. Like I even though I've been around the fitness industry for over 30 years, I don't claim to be a know-it-all, right? I always have that beginner's mind. I'm always open to learning myself, and I don't claim to be a know-it-all. So if I don't know the answer or I can't help you in your specific situation, I'll just be totally upfront and honest. I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt and give you false hope or BS, but I will try and point you in the right direction to somebody who can help, because I have a large network of people in the fitness industry who I can rely on, experts in different areas. So if I can't help you with your specific challenges or situation, then I'll hopefully be able to recommend you to someone who can. So with that being said, let's jump in and see what Q&A are coming through here today. So again, if you do have any questions, type them into the chat window. So if you're watching on YouTube, to the side, there is a chat window. Type away, interact there, answer any or ask any questions that you may have. If you're on Facebook, right below this live stream video, there's the comment section, and your questions and comments will come through there as well. So I'll be able to see them on my end, regardless if you type them through Facebook or YouTube. Obviously, most people do tune in through YouTube. All right, just give me a second. I'm going to open up a sparkling water here, one of my beverages of choice. This one happens to be a pineapple coconut flavor here. And I'm opening it ever so gently because I don't want it to fizz all over the place and make a bloody big mess. There we go. It wasn't too bad at all. Tastes good. That's one of the things I do enjoy, sparkling water. I like the fizzy drink. It's quenching. It's tasty. 0 calories, 0 sodium. So it's a guilt-free treat, but it's a nice thing to add a little bit of, bridge the gap. Like sometimes if you're feeling a little bit hungry, a little bit peckish in between meals, and you want something to kind of take the edge off your appetite, I find a sparkling water can certainly do the trick. Sometimes I have diet soda as well, but sparkling water is more refreshing in my opinion. So that's what I tend to go with more often than not. All right, who has the first question of the day? Let's see. Darren B says, what are your thoughts on pre-workout powders with creatine, etc.? All right. They're two totally different supplements. Sometimes they pair them together, pre-workout and creatine. Pre-workouts it's basically an energy drink. Like you can go to the convenience store and you can buy a Monster or a Red Bull or a Rockstar or a whatever energy drinks are available these days. There's a gazillion different brands of them, but you can get these high caffeine energy drinks. Pre-workouts are basically the same thing. It's just a high caffeine stimulant. Now they put other things in it, like they'll put some other amino acids like taurine or tyrosine or whatever, some other stimulants in there to kind of amp things up. Sometimes they'll throw beta alanine in there. Sometimes they'll throw creatine in there. You'll have to check the formula because, the pre-workout category is very broad. Back in the old days, it was literally just caffeine or a cup of coffee. That was the pre-workout. Nowadays, you have caffeine plus the kitchen sink thrown in along with it. And sometimes they'll put creatine in there. There's nothing wrong with taking creatine. And then, I recommend it. Creatine is a great supplement in and of itself, but it's not necessarily a pre-workout, meaning you don't take creatine and then feel the creatine. Whereas if you take caffeine, you feel the caffeine, right? Like it amps you up. Like you get that buzz, that alertness. Like you get that, it hits you very quickly when you have caffeine. Like if you have a strong cup of coffee, you have an energy drink, you take a caffeine pill, or you take a pre-workout, you will feel it. Like you will get the stimulant effect from that. But when you take creatine, you don't feel anything, right? There's no feeling, but it's what it does do is it gets absorbed into your body, and creatine helps to pull water and nutrients into the cells. It helps to create cell volumizing, and it helps to increase your energy, especially the high performance energy, the explosive energy, the ATP energy, adenosine triphosphate. Creatine helps to recycle that energy in the body, and it makes you feel stronger, especially for short duration, explosive, high intensity exercise, i.e., weightlifting or sprinting or something where you need to put out a lot of oomph in a very short period of time. That's the energy that creatine helps to restore. So it's helpful. But the thing about creatine is it's not something you take and you get the instant benefit from it. It's something you have to take over a prolonged period of time, let it build up in your system. And then when you top up your body's creatine levels in the system, then you get the benefits of the increased energy production and all that, and pulling the water and nutrients into the muscle cells, creating that cell volumization. But it's not something like I pop a scoop of creatine and boom, feel jacked. Right? It's not like Popeye and his spinach. You remember the Popeye cartoons, right? Popeye would squeeze open his can of spinach and gulp it down and be bulging with muscles. Creatine doesn't work that fast, right? I wish it did. I wish spinach worked that fast. Heck, I'd be eating spinach if it did. I mean, spinach is good for you, but it doesn't work that fast. But again, that's the way creatine is. It's good, but it's not a instant energy thing. It's something you take consistently, and you reap the benefits over the long term. Kind of similar to taking vitamins in that sense. Like you take a multivitamin, for example. Like you don't feel that you took a multivitamin. But if you take it consistently and you make sure that you have adequate vitamins in your system, then you're not going to run into vitamin deficiencies, and you'll be in the optimal levels for your body to function and perform normally. Creatine's the same way. You take it, it builds up in your system, and then you reap the benefits long term. So it doesn't matter if you take your creatine with a pre-workout or not, right? I don't have, first off, I don't use pre-workouts. I do like drinking coffee. So my pre-workout of choice is a large black coffee. That's my pre-workout. So before I go to the gym, I'll usually down a large black coffee, and that's enough caffeine, enough stimulant for me to get that mental pick-me-up and that little bit of energy boost that I need. But as far as the creatine, I usually take that in the morning after my breakfast with my vitamins. So eat my breakfast, I take my vitamins, and then I also take my creatine along with it then. So you don't need to combine it together, but there's nothing wrong if you do, but there's nothing special about it either, right? So if you take creatine separate from your pre-workout, it's still going to work the same. It doesn't matter when you take the creatine as long as you take it consistently. Just the same as your vitamins. It really doesn't matter when you take your vitamins as long as you take them consistently. So that's what I just want to share, right? So that's my thoughts on pre-workouts with creatine, right? Both are there, both have a time and a place, but combining them together, there's nothing magical, if you will, about having them together. All right, who else got a question? Let us see. Billy Smith is joining in. He says, "Yo, Lee, I benched 335 today on flat bench, and now I'm getting the 90s on the incline dumbbell for 10. I am cutting, but my strength is up." Well, my friend, that is quite impressive. I mean, first off, anybody who's benching 3 plates aside, 300 plus bench press, that is very impressive. Like that puts you in the top category of virtually any gym that you go into, especially like any normal fitness gym. You are amongst the strongest gym members if you're benching over 300 pounds, without a doubt. Now, of course, if you go to an elite powerlifting gym or somewhere like that, it's all relative, but by mere mortal standards, people like you and I, that's freaking impressive. So you know what? That deserves a pat on the back, a celebration, a thumbs up. I mean, kudos to you. That's very respectable right there. So way to go on that. And again, the 90s for the dumbbell bench, the incline dumbbell bench, I should say, that is very respectable as well. And doing so while cutting. The thing is, obviously you're on a right track now, and what you're experiencing is something that a lot of guys can actually notice strength and muscle gains, especially in the early phases of a cutting diet. And I want to explain the reason why is because very often when people are following a strict training program, strict nutrition program, they're more on point, they're more consistent, they're more dialed in. Like maybe you got a goal now, you want to get ripped for summer, and you say, okay, I'm going to be consistent with my workouts. I'm going to be consistent with my nutrition, going to be consistent with the sleep pattern, going to cut out the alcohol and the junk food and all that stuff, and really put on the blinders and kind of dial things in. And that focus, that intensity, that drive can really help to spur on new gains all around. But what often happens, especially if you're in a calorie deficit, is once your body starts tapping into stored body fat and that calorie deficit accumulates and you get leaner and you start to get more depleted, then your strength may start to drop off a little bit. And that's normal. That's normal part of cutting. But in the initial phase, very often can actually go up because of that consistency, that focus. You can probably actually make strength gains initially. But if you keep cutting and you get lean enough, chances are it is going to drop off. And I'll use my own experience, like when I was competing in bodybuilding, for example. Like I would start off my pre-contest bodybuilding diets, and I would very often experience something like what you're explaining there now. I would actually feel stronger, feel more energetic, like get really good workouts. But then as the cut went on and I got more depleted, especially like in the last 6 weeks, last 4 to 6 weeks before a bodybuilding show, I would start to feel it linger on. And as you're making that transition from lean to ripped, that's when it's like, whoomp, it's almost like the energy level just drops. Like once you start to dip into the single digit body fat percentage, I found, for me anyway, my energy and strength would just kind of like drop. And then it was like relying on willpower. It almost felt like I was running on fumes and willpower at that stage. And I had to really use a lot of grit to get through those workouts. Whereas when I had a little bit more padding, a little bit more body fat, still in the double digits, I was able to power through those workouts feeling strong. Once I started to dip into the single digit body fat, the energy just kind of like went off a cliff, if you will. But the thing is, in bodybuilding, the leaner you get, the better you look, but the worse you feel. So it's a messed up sport in that sense. You look good, but you don't necessarily feel good, right? And that's something, I just want to kind of give you that heads up. So if you do notice your strength start to drop off as you get leaner, it's normal. And then you just have to decide how far do you want to take it before you want to kind of dial things back to a maintenance program, right? Like how far do you want to take it? If you're really trying to get super shredded, or you're competing for a bodybuilding or photo shoot or something like that, obviously the leaner the better. But if it's just for a look good for the beach, be confident in your own skin, you kind of have to weigh, like, do I want to get super lean and depleted and have a 6-pack, or hey, am I comfortable being a little bit bigger, a little bit fuller, and only having a 4-pack and being stronger, right? What, it's not right or wrong. It's what do you want? Like some guys want to push ultra lean and at all costs, even if their strength and energy suffers. Other guys are more comfortable having a little bit more fluff, a little bit more padding around the muscles, not ultra shredded, but feeling stronger and more energetic. And again, I'm not saying that one is right or wrong. It's what's best for you. And that's something you're going to have to decide as you transition into this, as you progress with this, I should say. All right. Who else we got there? That's an interesting one. Bill Fuller. Are you new to the video chat, Bill? I don't recall seeing your name on in the Q&A before. If you're a regular, I do apologize, but this is the first time I can recall seeing your name here. It says, how do you see AI transforming fitness? It's helped me with weightlifting and cardio questions. I used to struggle finding answers too. Do you think it could reshape how we approach fitness overall? AI, ChatGPT, and all the similar tools out there that are doing that are reshaping everything. Because, well, back in the old days of the internet, you had Google and search engines and stuff. And what it was is you would search for something and you would just get individual opinions, individual pages, individual posts, individual whatever, individual videos. And then it was up to you to surf through a whole shitload of content and try and come up with, the consensus, if you will, because someone might have one opinion Might be, we could argue whether it's right or wrong, good or bad, but someone will have one opinion, then someone else might have a contradictory opinion. Someone else might have something in the middle, and then everything in between. And what AI is doing is it's condensing all that and kind of giving you the best of all of it, right? So when you go in there and you ask, like, you ask for a workout, you ask for a meal plan or whatever, it can kind of condense it. And the cool thing about things like ChatGPT is you can literally train it. Like once you start going in there and you ask it a question, and then you can refine it even further and keep asking questions, and it like goes down the rabbit hole of refining it. So it's quite crazy and mind blowing, what AI can do. For general questions and stuff like that, absolutely. If someone's like trying to figure stuff out, AI is fantastic. I use it. I mean, if I have questions about something, I'll go in there and type in, and it kind of saves you the hassle of having to go and scour a gazillion different blog posts or articles or videos to get your answer. I'll tell you another thing it's not good for YouTubers, but you can type in your YouTube video into ChatGPT and ask it to summarize it for you. So if you had a big ass video or a big ass podcast or a big ass whatever, you could ask ChatGPT to summarize it for you and, condense it down. So instead of you sitting there and watching an hour-long podcast, you can kind of get the gist of it in a, get the show notes, if you will, in the summary version. And sometimes that's good enough. All right. So it's amazing what it can do. And in the fitness world, I mean, we're still just scratching the surface on it, but there is power for it for sure. The only thing that AI doesn't do is it doesn't give you that personalized touch, that connection, that accountability. That's where real coaching takes place. And this is something like I have this conversation with my coaching students all the time. Like nobody goes into fitness coaching, like say hiring a coach or a personal trainer or something like that to get more tactics, because we don't need people to get tactics. Like I can go in on Google or I can go in on ChatGPT and say, hey, what's the best workout? It'll spit out a workout. I can say, what's the best diet? It'll spit out a diet. Okay, that's great. Like you have the tactics, you have the how-to, but is that going to actually allow you to implement that and put it into practice? Probably not. For some people it might, but for a lot of people, knowing what to do is not the challenge. It's how do you get yourself to do what you know? And I'll give you an example of this. Think of someone who's struggling to quit smoking. Do you think that they don't know smoking is bad for them? Like they know they should quit. They know how to quit. I mean, quitting smoking is the easiest thing in the world. All you have to do is stop putting cigarettes in your mouth. That's it. If you stop putting cigarettes in your mouth, you'll be a non-smoker. I mean, it's not very complicated. Like I don't need ChatGPT and Google to tell me stop putting cigarettes in your mouth. Like that's all it is. So it's technically it's very simple. But how come so many people struggle with it? Because it's an addiction, and there's all these other factors, and smoking is meeting needs on internal levels. Like it's such a complex mix. Like anybody who suffers from any type of addiction, whether that's a smoking addiction, an alcohol addiction, a substance addiction, or a food addiction, that there's a lot of complexities going on behind the scenes that, hey, knowing your calories and macros isn't going to fix, right? Like I could go to an obese person and say, hey, here's your 2,000 calorie a day diet with a well-balanced ratios of macros. Go get them, Tiger. And they could say, piss off. I'm going to the all-you-could-eat buffet. So yeah, does AI and information help in fitness? Absolutely, it helps. But does it really fix the root problem? Not necessarily. And that's where sometimes having support and accountability and coaching and all these types of things, like prime example, like when you look at addictions and stuff like that, like AA and groups like that, or weight loss support groups or things, having that real world human connection provides another element that AI cannot give us yet. I mean, who knows where it's going in the future, but as of now, we don't have it yet. Right. So that's where I think, you still need that human touch, if you will, to really make this work. But from the information and the tactical side of just giving you the know-how, absolutely, it's phenomenal. right? I mean, and I'm still being blown away by what AI can do. Like I have friends in the, colleagues and sometimes we're sharing stuff that we're learning. Like, hey, did you know you could actually do this with AI now? And it's crazy, right? Like even I'm just learning this myself. Like you can tell AI to make you a graphic. Like if I wanted to make a thumbnail image for my YouTube video, I can go in and say, hey, make me a thumbnail image about working out and this and that, and change this and do that. And I mean, it'll spit me out a freaking image just by me telling it what to do. I mean, it's insane what AI can do, right? It's mind blowing. But yeah, it's certainly going to have an impact in the fitness industry, as it is in every industry. All right, where are we to? I sometimes get on a rant sometimes. AI could probably condense all that stuff I just said into a few bullet points. Anyway, moving on. Where are we to? Barry's joining in. QQQ. Okay. Being a over-the-road truck driver, do you any 15-minute workouts that I could do with H bands? Okay, truck driver, any 15-minute workouts that you can do with resistance bands? I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. Yes, actually, I have several videos up on my YouTube channel now that are home workouts using resistance bands. And this is something I'm going to get into doing more of, because there's a big demand for simple home workouts that you can do with minimal equipment. And actually, a lot of my coaching students work out from home with minimal equipment. And one of the first pieces of equipment that I always recommend, resistance bands. And what I recommend, go in on Amazon. There's other places, but Amazon has good deals on them. And just search for exercise resistance bands, and you will see a whole bunch of them. One that I've used myself, Body Elastic bands. I've utilized those. Those are really good, high quality ones, but there's a lot of different brands out there that are good brands. And the thing about a lot of these resistance bands, like you can go in on Amazon and get the whole kit. So it has the doorway anchors, it has the handles. You can attach different resistance bands to those handles. So you can have a lightweight, like you might have as light as like 5 pounds of resistance up to 100+ pounds of resistance. Like you can utilize that. And of course, with the doorway anchors and stuff, you can position them and literally use those cable resistance just like machine pulleys that you would in the gym, right? So you can duplicate a lot of gym exercises with resistance bands, and they're so small and versatile. Like you can put them in a little duffel bag, and they hardly take up any space. They don't weigh much. You could take them on the road with you. When I'm traveling, I pack them in my suitcase. So if I'm in a hotel or somewhere where I don't have access to a gym, I can still do resistance bands. Last summer, we went camping. I took my resistance bands with me, and I did resistance bands workouts. They're on the campsite. I mean, they're so versatile. You can do a lot with them. But I have some videos. One, I'm going to share this one. This was a cool one that I did years ago. It's called the Tarzan Jungle Muscle Workout. I'm going to, where is it to? There's a playlist on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. Where is that to? I'm going to search. Again, if you go through the playlists, there's a couple that I would recommend. Body weight workouts is one playlist. Where's the other one? There's dumbbell workouts. That's good for people who are working out at home. But this one, I'm going to get the link for you here. It's called Jungle Muscle Workout. I'm going to copy it into our live stream here. So this one's for you, Barry. Jungle Muscle Workout with bands, I'll call it. Check that out after this live stream is over. So you can kind of go back there and bookmark that playlist and check it out. But that's like total body workout using resistance bands and body weight exercises. And even though I was literally doing this in the jungle, and I'll explain the jungle. We were on vacation in Mexico 13 years ago, and we were staying in this little bungalow on the beach, and it's like this grass thatch roof bungalow in the like palm trees and jungle, right just off the beach. It was beautiful. And we stayed there, and at this little kind of nature resort, if you will, because it wasn't the rooms were literally these grass roof bungalows, and they were open, like, it's not like a normal hotel room or anything else. There were just these little huts on the beach, and that's what we stayed in during our vacation, and it was awesome. But you can check that out. I put the link there in the chat window. And while we were there, my wife and I, we did our jungle muscle workout. So that's pretty cool. You can check it out using resistance bands and body weight. All right, what else we got there? Buff Canuck. Sparkling water is one of my preferred beverages as well. I like the fizz and the hint of flavor they have. I do too. I like the fizz. This one has a hint of pineapple coconut. Right? President's Choice pineapple coconut. Goes down well. Goes down well after a hard day. Right? Unwinding on Friday afternoon with an ice cold sparkling water. Could be worse, right? Could be chugging down a cold beer, right? And getting a buzz on. And a beer belly at the same time. Don't want that. Who else? We have Kevin joining in. 2 questions, Lee. Have you ever supplemented with citrulline? And when deadlifting, how often would you train your rear delts? As I find my rear delts are constantly sore as I have a shoulder day plus a back day. All right. First question, citrulline. Indirectly, yes, but not directly. And the reason why I say that is because citrulline has been an ingredient in some pre-workout supplements that I have used in the past, but it's been a concoction in a blend of a whole bunch of stuff. So there was caffeine, and there was taurine, right? Beta alanine, and what's the other one? L-carnitine, and stuff like all these concoctions thrown in a pre-workout. So I can't really say. I mean, yes, I have supplemented with citrulline, but I can't give any direct feedback because I haven't used it in and of itself to say like, wow, I've just taken this citrulline and I can really feel this working or whatever. So I'm not the best person to give practical advice or self-experience, self-feedback on citrulline because I haven't used it in and of itself. I've taken it with a concoction of everything else. So I don't know if it was the L-citrulline or the beta-alanine or the caffeine or whatever other amino acids and concoctions that were thrown in the pre-workout that was, or a combination of all of the above, right? So I can't really comment on it. But yes, I have indirectly supplemented with it. But I'm not now. I'm not taking any pre-workouts now, and I'm not taking any else citrulline right now either. As for your deadlifting and your rear delts, you're finding they're constantly sore. If this is a new routine, like maybe you just started doing more deadlifts, started doing more shoulders and whatever, and you're still in the early phases, like within the first few weeks of doing this as a new routine, it's normal to have soreness. But generally, as your body gets conditioned to the training that you're doing, the soreness becomes less and less. And it'll probably get to the point where you hardly get any soreness at all. And in fact, the better shape you get in and the more consistent you are with your workouts, the less soreness you tend to experience. It's only when you're starting off brand new or you do something new that your body's not accustomed to. So a new routine, new exercise, or you change it up, like you increase the volume or you increase something. Like if you do something that your muscles are not conditioned and accustomed to, generally you'll probably get sore afterwards. But if you are doing something and you build up your work capacity and you handle that, generally you're not going to feel as sore. Like you might get a little dull ache from time to time, but it's not going to be that really painful, delayed onset muscle soreness. All right. So again, if this is something new, just give it time and it should ease up on its own. But what you're doing is actually good. Like I like how you're spacing it out. And when it comes to shoulders and stuff like that, I like to err on the side of more frequency. So instead of going in there and annihilating your shoulders in a single shoulder workout, do a little bit more frequently. So for example, like you can do some shoulders with your deadlift day or your back day. You can do some shoulders with your chest day. You can probably even do a little bit with your arm day, like just a little tiny bit more frequently versus going in there and annihilating them all in one go. And this is what I do personally. Well, I kind of do that for all my major muscle groups because I utilize total body workouts for the most part. And I like to do a little bit for all my major muscle groups frequently instead of going in there and just blasting, all back or all chest or all arms or all legs. So that's the way I go about it. And I think that little bit of stimulation and then allowing it to rest, recover, grow, a little bit of stimulation, rest, recover, grow is usually better for minimizing soreness than going in there and just blasting. Okay? But again, it should ease up, especially if this is a new routine that you're doing. And if you do want to elaborate on it a little more, feel free to reach out to me, send me a Facebook message or email me. Again, contact information down in the show notes below, and we can chat about it, elaborate on it a bit more. Speaking of soreness, we have Mr. Mark King joining in. Welcome, Mark. Glad to have you joining in. What do you do for sore leg muscles? LOL. Thank you again. For those of you who don't know, I joined Mr. Mark King this morning for a virtual workout over on his YouTube channel. He has a channel. It's called King Live 2025. And he does a live stream every day, kind of like this, except in his own unique way, but it's a live YouTube stream. And he has a routine where he likes to move and groove. And myself and Mark did a podcast this week as well. So if you haven't checked it out already, go back and listen to the most recent episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast. It's up on YouTube right now. It's also on iTunes and Spotify and everything else. But if you're watching this, then go watch the podcast on YouTube, because YouTube, you get the visual. Whereas if you go to iTunes or wherever, you're just listening to the audio, which, again, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's more powerful when you have the visual to go along with the audio, because Mark was a rather large man, right? And when I say large, I mean large. Like, he, at his heaviest, was 886 pounds. You're hearing that right. That's not an audio issue. That is the truth. 886 pounds, just shy of 900 pounds. Like, this is big, big, big. And Mark has lost over 300 pounds. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but he's down into the low 500s now. So well over 300 pounds lost. And in that podcast, we share the story of how he first off got so big to begin with, and what he's done to lose literally over 300 pounds. And now how he's implementing regular exercise, moving and grooving. And today I was over on his YouTube channel doing a live stream with him and took him through a workout. And he was doing body weight squats, as per my recommendation, as a 500 plus pound man. So to put that in perspective, Mark at 500 plus pounds doing body weight squats, that's like me doing barbell squats with over 300 pounds on my back. Like, that's like me putting 315 on the barbell and repping it out. That's what Mark was doing today, basically, because as a big man with all that body weight, right, that's the equivalent that he was doing. Anyway, we woke up some dormant muscles, let's just say, by doing that today. So we did a full body workout, started from top, worked our way down, focused on, the shoulders, the arms, the core, and the legs, right? We got that all in there. And I got to say, I'm impressed. I mean, for a big man, he did rather well. and so now he's feeling it, right? So I just want to let you know, Mark, over the next day or so, your legs and shoulders and everywhere else that we worked today, you're probably going to feel some soreness that you didn't experience before, because it's unique muscle stimulation. But the thing is, the more you do this, the less that muscle soreness is going to be an issue. So each time you train, each time you work out, it's going to become less and less and less. And eventually you'll be able to do that workout, do those squats and stuff like that, and hardly feel anything the next day. I mean, sure, you'll feel some fatigue and stuff, but it won't be that painful, delayed onset muscle soreness, right? So we want to get to that point. But it's always that hump that you got to go through initially. And this hump, that soreness hump, if you will, is what holds so many people back, because they join the gym, they start an exercise routine, and they're like, oh my God, this hurts, this pains, I don't want to do this anymore, this sucks, and they quit. and they never get past that initial hurdle. But if you can just grit it out, like grit it out for the first month, get past that initial hurdle, and then it's going to get easier and easier. And eventually you're going to do those workouts and you're going to feel rejuvenated afterwards. It's going to be like, wow, that feels good. And I don't have any soreness. Like I can carry on with the rest of my day without aches and pains. And that is such a liberating feeling when you can move and do the things you want to do without your body holding you back. Man, like that is freedom. That is true freedom right there. So again, I just want to encourage you, Mark, you're probably going to be sore tomorrow. You're probably sore now as you're posting this comment. And it's probably going to linger on for a little while, but just stick it out. Stick with it. Realize, this is only a short-term thing. And eventually it's going to become less and less. And then as your strength improves, as your work capacity improves, you're going to be able to do those exercises more comfortably with higher volume. And your body's going to build itself stronger, right? That's what we want. But stick with it. Like, see the big picture, not the short-term pain, see the long-term gain. That's what we're after here. But again, thanks for sharing that. And thanks for joining in. Glad to have you popping onto our live stream here. Who knows? Someday I might get you to pop onto we'll do a live stream on my end, just like I did on your end today. Have you joining in on the Q&A. Who else we have joining in? Buff Canuck says, if only creatine could give instant gains. Yeah, I mean, creatine does work, right? Like, of all the supplements out there, it's one of the most researched supplements. It's like there's more studies on creatine than I think virtually any other supplement out there. So it does work. It has proven the hardest test of all. It has proven the test of time, because creatine was introduced back in the early 90s as a mainstream supplement, and it's still used today 30 years later as a mainstream supplement. Very few products can last the test of time because most of them are crap. But creatine actually does work, and it's lasted the test of time. But it's not as great as a lot of the initial creatine ads made it out to be. Like, I remember back in the 90s, the creatine ads that you'd see in the magazine say, oh, take creatine and you're going to put 50 pounds on your bench in 1 week. And you're going to pack on 10 pounds of lean muscle, and you're going to this and that and the other thing. And people would take it and like, it might have a little help, but shit, it ain't as good as they were selling a ton of sizzle for a little ounce of steak, if you know what I mean. So it's not as good as the hype was, but it does produce results, right? It is a legit supplement, but it's in the greater scheme of things, it's marginal gains. That's it. It's like a slight edge. And because it's safe and it's cheap and, it's very convenient to take, why not take advantage of that marginal gain? Right? I certainly do. And the thing about creatine is it's not just physical, but it's mental. Like, there's been a lot of, it shows benefits from a mental and cognitive point of view, like improving mental clarity and helping to prevent mental degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and things like that. It has benefits in those areas as well. So everybody should be taking creatine, like not just people who are in the gym lifting weights. Like, your grandmother in the nursing home should be supplementing with creatine. Like, that's everybody. It's a health supplement. It's not just a bodybuilding supplement. It should be a general health supplement. Right? What else we got there? Second, now I'm trying to. Mr. Buff Canuck, thank you so much for your support. He says, for your eloquent description of sparkling water. Very good. Well, with that $4.99, I'll be able to go to the store and buy myself another bottle of sparkling water. In fact, I could get several. I got these. These were 3 for $3, so $1 each at the grocery store. A bottle of the best, right? And speaking of that, I'm going to have another sip of this elegant pineapple coconut sparkling water. Oh, pristine, absolutely. I could start being a spokesperson for these. Get sponsored by the Blue Menu President's Choice sparkling water. Oh, shit. Where am I to? I lost my spot in the chat there. I think I was talking about Mark's sore legs. Yeah, there it was. Okay. Poor old Mark and his sore legs. Rest up, my friend. Rest up. Okay, creatine give you fast gains. Awesome. Thanks for your response. You're most welcome, Darren. Glad to help. And thank you for participating on the chat. Right? If it wasn't for guys like you asking questions and participating, there wouldn't be much of a chat. So this is a two-way street, and I greatly appreciate the support and the participation. Keep up the great work, Bill. Keep up the excellent progress. Good stuff. Share it all around. Okay, we got Billy Smith saying, thanks, man. I've been doing that Arnold split I was talking about last time, but I've been just doing progress overload, I guess progressive overload on flat, not maxing out every day except for today, just adding 5 pounds every workout. Awesome. Good. And if you can make those little 5-pound jumps, like ride that wave of momentum for as long as you can, but just realize that eventually it's going to kind of run its course. You're not just going to infinitely be able to add 5 pounds a week to an exercise and say, I've been guilty of this, like back in the day, saying, okay, if I can just add 5 pounds a week, well, then by this time next year, I'm going to be like I'll be setting the national record in the bench press and the squat and the deadlift. And then I'm going to be setting world records the year after that. And like you do all these calculations in your head. It doesn't work that way. That linear progress doesn't go on forever. But while it is, ride that wave of momentum. But as soon as it starts to plateau, and eventually it will, everybody does hit their plateaus, then it's going to take a bit more advanced training and strategizing to bust past those plateaus. And we actually did a podcast a few weeks back talking about progressive overload for advanced lifters. And if you haven't already checked that one out, Billy, I would highly recommend you do so. Just go through the playlist, the podcast list on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel and scroll back a few weeks. I don't know exactly what number it is, but the title of the podcast, I think, is Progressive Overload for Advanced Lifters, something along those lines. You'll find it. Like it's once you see it, it'll stand out like boom, like a sore thumb. You'll be able to find it, no problem. But bookmark that, save it, go back and listen to it, because that's going to help you when you do eventually hit that plateau. You'll definitely want to pay attention to the strategies that are covered in that podcast, because it shows how do you bust past plateaus once you've gone through the initial phase of the easy gains stop. Now what? Right? Once the easy gains of just showing up to the gym, eating right and exercising and doing all the normal stuff, once that stops working for you, then how do you bust past that and get to the next level? That's what that podcast is all about. So save that one, put it in the back burner, right? Put it in the library, in the archive, because everyone's going to need that at some point or another. And of course, this doesn't just apply to Billy, but it applies to everybody listening to this, because every single one of you are eventually going to hit a plateau, and you're going to want some strategies to get past them. Mark, my question, what can I sore leg muscles, especially in the top part of my legs? Okay, what can you do to alleviate those sore legs? Massaging your legs can literally help. All right, like rubbing those legs. Light movement can help initially. Even if you're sitting down, I can't really show it here, but sitting down in your chair or sitting down on your couch and like literally just lift up one leg at a time and just extend it out, like literally do a single leg extension with just body weight, just kind of moving those legs to get some blood flow and circulation there. That will help. Even just trying to walk around a little bit, right? Like get up and move around. Now, again, guys, realize I'm speaking to Mark. Mark's a big man. He's over 500 pounds. So getting up and walking around is a big deal, right? That will certainly help. Another one, when you're getting a shower, hot and cold therapy, you can do this, hot and cold. So get in the shower and turn the water as hot as you can comfortably stand. And ideally, if you can have that water directly hitting the sore muscles, that would really help. And then do that for a couple minutes and then flip it to as cold as you can comfortably stand. Or if you're tough enough, just go full on cold, no hot whatsoever, and just have the cold water hitting it. And then do that for a minute and then go back to the hot. So go hot for about a couple minutes, cold for about a minute, and alternate back and forth. And what the hot and cold does is it helps to circulate blood flow throughout the muscles without you physically doing anything, because the hot pushes blood to the surface of the skin, right? It flushes the muscles. The cold pulls blood to the core. So you can literally circulate blood throughout your body without you actually doing anything. and it actually very therapeutic. Like a lot of people use hot and cold therapy to alleviate soreness and to speed up recovery, especially if you are having that pain and discomfort. So that's something you can do next time you're in the shower. Hot and cold works really good. And if you have other methods of hot and cold, like maybe a sauna and a cold shower, a hot tub and a swimming pool, like if you have access to some of this stuff, like I've known a lot of guys who've done that. Like if you have access to a hot tub and a cool pool, swim a lap in the pool and then go sit in the hot tub, and then swim a lap in the pool, sit in the hot tub, or get in the hot tub and have a cold shower, hot tub and a cold shower, or sit in a sauna and a cold shower, like alternate any type of hot and cold. That's great for circulating blood flow and circulation throughout your body and speeding up the recovery process. Right. But again, this is something that you got to work through that initial barrier, and eventually you get to the point where you're not going to feel the soreness. But in the initial phases, yeah, it's going to suck. All right. I wish I could sugarcoat it, but I can't. It's going to suck. Right? It's going to suck initially, but suck it up, buttercup, and get through it. After several workouts, it's going to get easier. Bill saying, I'm new to the video chat. Love the content, Lee. Says, I've been working out since January and finding success with 3 compound lifts and 2 accessory lifts a day, 6 days a week. It keeps my workout short and helps with a busy family lifestyle. Wow. I mean, that is 6 days a week is quite frequent for sure. But you know what? If it's working for you, you enjoy it, and it fits with your lifestyle, keep doing it. Like this is something that I want to elaborate on. A lot of people try and say, well, like this is the best workout, or that's the best workout, or this is the best frequency, or that's the best frequency. It's not right or wrong, good or bad. It's what works for you at this stage of the game in your situation based on your schedule. There's a lot of variables. And bottom line, if it's working, if you're enjoying it, and it's something that you can do consistently, keep doing it. Like, who am I to argue? Right? I'm not so thick-headed or narrow-minded to say, like, oh, it has to be my way or the highway. Right? If you don't do everything the way that I do it, then you're wrong. Right? Like, and there's a lot of fitness influencers out there who are like that. Right? They think, you have to follow my diet, and my diet involves whatever, like I follow the keto diet, and anybody who doesn't follow keto is an idiot, right? Or I follow the vegan diet, and anybody who doesn't follow the vegan diet is an idiot, right? Or I do weight training 6 days a week, and anybody who doesn't weight train 6 days a week, well, they're a effing idiot. Of course not. Like, there's multiple ways to go about this. We don't all have to do the exact same thing. You can find your individual pattern, your individual preferences, and what works for your body at this stage of the game. Okay? So, I mean, if it works for you and you're enjoying it, keep going, right? And this is something like when I'm working with people, when I'm working with my coaching students, yes, I have some general ideas and templates and guidelines to follow, but we're flexible. Like it's almost like a choose your own adventure, if you will, because everyone is unique. Like some people want to work out from home. Other people want to work out at the gym. Other people have more time and say, hey, I can commit to 2 hours of workouts. Other people say, I'm busy. I can only squeeze in 30 minutes on my lunch break. We make it work. We make it work for the individual and based on their situation and what they can do and what they're not willing to do, right? Like we make it better than it was before. And that's the key. It doesn't have to be right, wrong, good, bad, or perfect or any of that. It just has to be better than it was before, right? Progress over perfection. That's what we focus on here. All right. What else we got there? Billy's got another question. I heard Mark Bell talk about this I bench better, going slow on the way down, focusing on my elbows in the right place, and then saving all my energy for the push. That's how I did it today. So the technique with the bench press, I'm more in that category as well. There's 2 different ways that you can do a max effort bench press. One is you kind of drop it, not literally, but you let it come down fast. Try not to waste any energy on the negative, and you just power that bugger up on exert all your effort on the explosive, on the positive. That can work, but it can also cause a lot of injury, right? I mean, anytime you're pushing to the max, you can cause injury. But I'm more of the school where I like to control the negative and build up that power, and then really focus on being strong and explosive on the concentric, on the lifting. Uh, you know, it's not necessarily right or wrong, but from a competition point of view, like if you ever do want to get into powerlifting competition, one of the things that you have to do is you have to literally pause the bar on your chest. You can't touch and go or bounce and go, as a lot of guys do. Like sometimes you see guys in the gym, they bounce the barbell off their chest or off their belly. You know, it's using that almost like a springboard, like boing, right? You can't do that in competition. You have to be in control of the weight, bring it down, pause momentarily. So like split second, the bar has to be totally motionless, paused on your chest, and then you have to press it up under control. So the slower and controlled way is a better way. I mean, it was going to give you a legit lift if you ever decide to do competition, but it's probably a safer way, and it's one that's going to be, quite honestly, better from a muscle hypertrophy point of view as well, because you're actually using muscle control versus just momentum and explosiveness to get that weight up. So yeah, I encourage that as well. But with that being said, I've seen some guys do the fast bouncing off their belly and still making it work type of lifting as well. I don't encourage it, but I've seen people get away with it and move some impressive numbers with it. All right, who else we got there? We have David joining in. Hi, I want to know about Nickelodeon Pakistan promo. What the frig? I want to you know about Nickelodeon Pakistan promos, urban like Dora the Explorer in Hindi 2010, 2012. Bro, I living in Mumbai, India, mother tongue Hindi. Well, as someone who's never been to Pakistan or India and doesn't speak Hindi, I can't really help you much there. I'm confused. If anybody can help out David, go for it in the chat. I'm just gonna. All right. And he posted that twice. Okay, again. No. I'm drawing blanks there, buddy. And he Jesus, he must have posted that a lot. There's 4 or 5 comments or 4 or 5 posts. Sorry, my friend. I don't know about Nickelodeon Pakistan promos in Mumbai, India. I would love to go visit sometime. I mean, but I've never been. I'm not much of a world traveler. I've not been outside of North America, right? So Canada, United States, Mexico. I've been to Cuba before. That's it. That's the extent of my global travel. Not much in the North America area. But I would love to travel to different places because just to experience the culture and maybe figure out some of this stuff that David's talking about too. I'll go find Dora the Explorer in Mumbai, India while I'm at it. But no, I can't help you. That's outside my realm. So I'm going to just move on and try and answer something that I can't answer. Buff Canuck says, wow, sounds like you're hitting the weight room hard. I've done the Arnold split myself. It's a good routine. I think he's not talking to me. He's talking to Billy, I believe. All right, cool stuff. Chat amongst yourselves. And kudos to Billy for that 335 bench. That is impressive. David Stin, Disney Channel India Mickey Mouse Calcium Hindi dub 2010. I don't watch the Disney Channel and Mickey Mouse, and I don't watch it. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm going to leave it at that. Does anybody watch Disney Mickey Mouse in Hindi? If you do, please help David. And you know what? There probably are people who do watch that, watching this video chat right now, but not me. What else we got there? Miranda saying, great stream. Thank you much. Appreciate the support. Glad to have you joining in. Billy saying, the best advice for dumbbell incline is to just focus on perfect form first, because a lot of people can incline a lot, but they lift off the bench and make it a flat. So prioritize the form an incline first. You know what? We could apply that same advice to any exercise, regardless of what it is you're doing. Learn the form first. Like, start off with light weights, with baby weights. Like, you should not be exerting effort and straining to learn an exercise. Like, start off with weights that are very manageable and just drill in the form. Just repeat it over and over and over again until you get that form down pat. And then you can start increasing the weight once you have that form locked in. Right. This is what I do. Like, when I'm working with people one-on-one in the gym, we focus on the form. Like, when we're learning a new exercise, I really don't give a shit how much weight they're lifting, as long as they're doing it with good form and they can get that mind muscle connection and feel what it is we're trying to feel. So, for example, if they're doing a chest press or a bench press or whatever, can you actually feel your chest? Are you actually using a full range of motion? Are you doing it with good form and keeping your body in the right position? Get all the little nitty-gritty details down pat first, because once you lock it in with light weights, then it's a lot easier to keep that as you build up to heavier weights. But if you're using shitty form with light weights and just using shitty form because you can get away with it, because hey, the weight's light, it doesn't matter how I lift it because it's light. Once you get to the heavier weight, you're eventually going to hit your match where, okay, now I'm in trouble because this weight is way too heavy and I just can't haphazardly throw it around anymore. That's when injuries happen. So you want to lock in the form with the lightweight first and then build it up while still maintaining that form. And this even applies workout to workout. Like, when you're doing your warm-up sets, do those warm-up sets with the same form and technique as if it was a max effort set. Like, that's a pet peeve of mine. Like, sometimes people say, well, I'm going to do a warm-up set because I'm supposed to, but they just mindlessly go through the warm-up set. They're not even focusing on it. Their form is shit, and they're just like literally going through the motions mindlessly. When you go through the motions mindlessly, that you're teaching your body the movement pattern of going through the motions mindlessly. So when you do an exercise, when you get on the bench or when you do any exercise at all, treat it like it's a max effort exercise, a max effort lift, and lock in proper form. Even if you're lifting the empty barbell, treat it like it's a max effort lift and nail the form perfectly. I mean, and of course, if it's really lightweight, you should be able to nail the form perfectly, but ingrain that movement pattern. Like, a great quote that I heard, and it's from Pavel Tetsuli, the kettlebell guru who brought kettlebells to North America and made it famous here. Strength is a skill. Strength is a skill. So you want to master the skill, not just haphazardly going through the motions and just grunting the weight. You want to learn the skill of moving that weight with proper form and technique. And once you have the skill in place, then it's so much easier to add weight and progress with it. But don't shortchange the skill. Build the skill, build that technique first, and the weight will follow. So that applies to any exercise. And who else we have joining in? Jose is a regular to our chats. Hello, Lee. Just made it. Listening while working out. Thanks for the like on my Commodore VIC-20 comment last week. We were talking about our first computers that we had, and I said my first computer was a 486 with dial-up. Well, actually, I never even had internet because it was before the internet, but I had a 486 computer with Windows 3.1 and 100 megabyte hard drive. That was the one I remember. My father bought that, and he paid an arm and a leg for it. That computer back in 1990-ish was over $5,000. I mean, factor in the cost of inflation or the rate of inflation from then, but he paid over $5,000 for something that would be a total piece of shit by today's standards. But at the time, like, that was top of the line, high tech. I remember that. So yeah, we were actually chatting about our first computers, and Jose was mentioning that he had a Commodore. I remember the Commodores. We had one in my elementary school. I remember when they first got the computer for the library at the elementary school, and it was a big deal, right? So we're all like just kids, and they said, oh, we actually had a special section where they brought in every single classroom into the library to look at the new computer that we got for the school. And here it was this Commodore computer set up in the library. And we all just went in and we're all just gathered around looking at it like, ooh, wow, there's a computer. And each one of us, this was my experience with computers. We got to sit at the desk and type our name on the keyboard. So And where my name is Lee, I didn't have much typing. I typed in L-E-E. All right, next. That was my experience on a computer until after high school. So I went my whole entire school from elementary school right on up through junior high and high school, not even knowing how to. The only thing I ever did on a computer was typed my name on a Commodore back in grade 3. And it was after high school when I actually first learned how to use a computer. Right? It's crazy, right? And nowadays, my son has been using a computer or iPads and phones and shit like that since he was 2 years old. It's crazy. Anyway, and the world keeps spinning. All right, where were we? Buff Canuck. I have encountered that same problem myself when following the routine. You're right about that. You have to have a plan of what exercise you're going to do for that day. Okay, good stuff. Thanks for the guidance. You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. I know my responses to these comments are probably not in tune with the times that they were posted. Tim saying, what up, Lee? You know I'm here as usual. Wouldn't miss it. Just like my pre-workout. I'm showing up strong and hyped. Love it. Glad to have you here. Strong and hyped. And Mark saying, anytime. Thank you again. Awesome. I would certainly like to do that, another live Q&A. In fact, or not live Q&A, live workout with Mark over on King Live 25. But yeah, next Friday, we're going to do another one. So if anybody wants to tune in, and it's Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time, I believe it's the start time for Mark's live Q&As. Or I keep calling them Q&As. Well, we will Q&A but the main focus is we're going to do a workout, and it's a body weight friendly workout that you can do anywhere with minimal equipment or no equipment, as in today's workout. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that same thing again next Friday. We have Big Sexy joining in. What up, buddy? All right. I'm doing good, Mr. Big Sexy or Mrs. Big Sexy, whoever Big Sexy happens to be. If you're a big man or a big woman, I know you're sexy. Well, so we'll leave it at that. Brian's joining in. Hey, Lee, I've been taking your advice on healthy fats, and starting to gain healthy weight. So thank you. Awesome. Glad to hear that. And for those of you who are not familiar with Brian is trying to gain muscular body weight. So we have people from all walks of life. Like we got Mark on one extreme who's trying to lose. We got Brian on the other who's trying to gain. And then there's people in the middle who are trying to do some sort of combination of both, maybe lose the body fat while building lean muscle. But Brian is a lean individual. I mean, like pretty much maintaining visible abdominal definition year round, and wants to fill out his frame with lean muscle. And one of the best ways that you can do that, especially if you're having trouble consuming enough calories, is to bump up your intake of healthy fat sources. Because fat is more than twice as calorie dense as protein and carbohydrates. So if you're trying to get extra calories in, healthy fats, and when I say healthy fats, things like natural unprocessed foods like avocado, olives and nuts and whole eggs, red meat, fish like salmon and mackerel and sardines and things like that. Healthy fats, not hot dogs and hamburgers and ice cream and pizza and yada 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 cheeseburgers and fried foods and Kentucky fried chicken and that type of fat. We're talking about like natural, healthy, unprocessed fats. And by having that in moderation, again, not going overboard here, but just adding a little bit more in moderation can certainly make a difference. And I know, like in my younger days, when I was trying to bulk up and gain muscular body weight, increasing fat certainly did help. Because I made the mistake when I was younger, in my early days of bodybuilding, trying to follow like the bodybuilder diets of the day that were posted in the magazines. And used to think, well, this is what they posted in the magazines. This is what these guys must eat year round. So it was always like boiled chicken, broccoli, rice. And, you know, sure, it's healthy, but I couldn't make any gains. And especially as a teenager, right? I was eating that, and it's not enough calories to grow on. So once I started adding in some more fat, like adding in some red meat, adding in some whole eggs, adding in some salmon, adding in some more higher fat foods like that, I actually started to make better gains. So you don't want to neglect fat. You want it in proportion. And if you're looking for like the ratio of macros, a third of your calories from protein, a third of your calories from carbs, and a third of your calories from fat. If you do that in the right balance, uh, you're going to feel better and you're going to make better progress. And I should mention as well, we're talking about calorie ratios, not portion ratios, because fat is more than twice as calorie dense as protein and carbs. A gram of protein has 4 calories. A gram of carbs has 4 calories. A gram of fat has 9 calories. So if you want well balanced, you would have equal ratios of protein and carbs in terms of equal ratios, not only in calories, but also in portions. But the fat would be less than half in the portion. So 200 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs, and 85 grams of fat, or somewhere in that range, right? I think it technically works out to like 88 grams of fat to give you the same calories, but you know what I'm talking about, like less than half the portion of fat. And that would put you in equal ratios for the calories. All right, who else we got joining? I'm going to get ready to clue this up because we've been going an hour and 10 minutes, and I usually try and limit it to an hour. But sometimes I got the gift of gab. I keep going. This has been a chatty day for me. This is the second live stream that I did today. Shit. What else we got there? Lost my place again. You're an incredible inspiration, Mark. Thanks for sharing your story of your weight loss journey. Absolutely. I gotta say, if I had a hat, I would tip it right here now. I would tip my hat to Mark because it is impressive to see what he's achieved. And it's impressive that he's so open and transparent and willing to put himself out there, because most people who struggle with their weight just want to keep it to themselves. They don't want to share it and go public and have literally thousands of people or even millions of people seeing them on YouTube. And because they just get all the hate and the negativity, which Mark gets. Like we've talked about that in his podcast, or in our podcast we did. He gets a ton of hate, a ton of negativity, people talking down on him, calling him things that you wouldn't call your worst enemy. And he gets that every single day. But he knows that, push all that hate and BS and crap aside. There's a small number of people who resonate with him and say, you know what, I can relate to this guy. I can latch on to this and I can take this and utilize it. And it's amazing the impact that he's having on other large people who struggle with their weight. Because when it comes to looking for fitness role models, you need to have someone that you can relate to. And if you're following someone who's always been lean, always been muscular, always been fit, like they were born with a six-pack, you know what I mean? Like someone who's never struggled with their weight their whole life. They've been an athlete and a jock throughout school, and afterwards they competed in bodybuilding and fitness, and they never ever struggled with their weight. I mean, sure, you might say, wow, that's admirable and that's impressive and everything else, but it's not relatable, right? We need to see people struggle. We need to know that, people have went through ups and downs, and to see people who are struggling, and despite not having good genetics, despite not having been dealt a good hand of cards, they're still able to keep moving forward and still able to make progress and still have hope for the future, which is what Mark is doing. I mean, like Mark is not genetically gifted. He had a rough go of it. We talked about this in the podcast, but he's still pushing forward, right? He's still pushing forward at a point when most people would say, screw it, F it, it ain't worth it. I give up, I quit, throw in the towel. I don't care. He's pushing forward. And I always like, man, if he can do it, right? If someone can go from 886 pounds down to the low 500s, I don't know the exact number off, but if someone can lose 300 plus pounds and still keep showing up and still keep moving forward, what's your freaking excuse, right? Like you're like, oh, I got 50 pounds to lose. Oh, I'm too fat. I'm too old. Oh, poor me. What am I going to do? I got 50 pounds. Mark's got, at his heaviest, he had 500 plus pounds to lose or more, maybe. I don't like it's crazy, but he's willing to do it and he's putting himself out there, right? That's what I respect about it. So, like, shit, if that man can do it, I mean, sure, it's not perfect, but he's getting better than he was before. He's making progress. That's what this is all about, right? It's not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you were before, beating the you of yesterday. That's who your competition is. And that's what that's why I'm so inspired. And that's why I want to help Mark along with his journey. Because I mean, that's what I feel is my calling, is to help people to become the best version of themselves. And I'm just excited to share that and participate in that in my own way and help them, because I know in doing so, we're going to give hope and inspiration to others as well. And that's what this is all about. Like, it's like a high tide rising all ships, right? And if this can help to change people's lives, then it's worth it, right? I know there's going to be a lot of haters. I know there's going to be people shitting and calling them down the dirt and everything else. But out of all that, if this can help to change a few lives, it's worth it. All right, where else are we to? I'm going to get ready to include those up shortly. I know there's still other questions coming through. Actually, guys, it is getting late. All right, the hour is late, and my wife has dinner on the table. So I am actually going to get ready to include this up right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if I didn't get to your question, I do apologize. But you know what? You can reach out to me if you want to have a chat. You can either email me or message me through social media. I'm active on Facebook. Link down in that's where I'm most active, over on Facebook. But you can message me through Facebook Messenger, or you can also contact me through Instagram. I'm starting to get more active over there on Instagram as well. So if you're on IG, feel free to contact me through there as well. Or if you're kicking it old school and you got yourself a Gmail account or any other, or a Hotmail account or whatever, you can email me. I respond to emails. I actually do. So email address and social media down there in the description. Feel free to message me if I didn't answer your question here today, and we can chat offline and discuss it down there. All right, I'm going to clue it up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video chat. I enjoyed doing it for you, and I'm going to be back here again next Friday, same time, same place. Going to be going live at 5 with Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding Q&A. And in the meantime, I want you to remember this. You do not have to be perfect to make progress. You just have to be good enough, and good enough consistently. Focus on getting better than you were before, and you can make it work. All right. Have yourself a good one. Talk to you next week.